When I tell people I'm a philosopher, I get a few responses. First, they ask me questions about philosophy that are not in my area of specialization. Like they'll ask me questions about free will. I don't know anything about free will, so I feel kind of bad because I can't really help them out, and there are not very many professional philosophers out there. Second, they want my thoughts on new agey spiritual stuff. I also don't know anything about that, and honestly, I would classify that to be a different topic. And third, they point out that they don't find philosophy to be practical, like they don't think philosophy actually helps them live a better life. For today's video, I want to address this last point, and I'm going to do this in 3 parts. Part 1 is about the different subdisciplines of philosophy. Part 2 is about contemporary academic philosophy. And Part 3 is about whether this is a problem. So I would break down philosophy into 4 subdisciplines: metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and political philosophy. Metaphysics is the study of the fundamental nature of reality. Some questions metaphysicians ask are numbers real? What is time? What is causation? Epistemology is the study of knowledge. Epistemologists ask how we know what we know. They ask what knowledge is, and they talk about fundamental questions regarding science. Ethics is the study of right and wrong, and political philosophy is the study of justice. Out of those 4, I'd say ethics is the main one that's trying to help you live a better life. Overall, I'd say that philosophy is not mainly concerned with how to live a better life. Philosophy, rather, is about attaining truth, and only some truth is directly related to self-improvement. Most philosophy published today is characterized by very narrow arguments on things no one really cares about. Okay? This, I think, comes from the need to publish. So in order to succeed in the field, you need to publish. And it's much easier to publish a paper that makes a narrow argument because you need to make the argument rigorous, but you have limited space. So the fact that these arguments are very narrow renders them not very helpful, because the advice that we're looking for usually depends on a number of factors. For instance, let's say the question is if you should have kids. Well, that's a complicated issue that contains smaller questions within it. Right? For instance, is life overall bad? Right? If you thought that life was overall bad, that would give you a reason not to have kids. Right? Can you harm someone by bringing them into existence? Right? That's another question. So you have to read many papers and books to get the most informed answer. So each work on its own is not very helpful. Keep in mind, what I'm talking about is ethics, right? Like almost all of the contemporary metaphysics and epistemology work wouldn't be helpful. I don't think. So regarding if this is a problem, my answer is not necessarily. If the goal is to find philosophical work that gives you advice about how to live, then there's plenty of that out there. Look up Stoicism. So as long as there are some philosophers addressing the issue, I don't think it's bad that most other philosophers try to answer other questions, Let them do their own thing. Now, I still think that this need to publish in academia is a problem because it generates papers that aren't interesting or important. Like, who cares about what Marx would have thought about this proposed solution to this problem that someone else discovered? I remember not even caring about one of my own papers because it was so uninteresting and unimportant. All right, I'm going to end it here. I hope you learned something interesting, and I'll see you all next time.